Sandra here, and this is a special video for today. I recently have reached a milestone on my channel with having 100 subscribers, and actually I think now I'm up to 107 subscribers. So I thought I would do a special kind of get to know me video just to commemorate getting to the 100 subscriber milestone, because I'm very happy about that, and very happy that I have so many people that are showing their support as I go on this journey with being vegan and making some changes. And it's been really great so far, and I'm going to continue along this path and see where it takes me for the year, this coming year, or this year 2016. And so yeah, I just thought I would make this video just to ask a few, simple questions, just to kind of tell you guys a bit more about who I am and where I come from and all that sort of stuff. So before I get started, I'll just let you know I'm just working on my dinner salad tonight. So I have this humongous salad here that I made. It's one kind of like small-ish head of romaine lettuce, about 4 big handfuls of baby spring mix. I put about 4 Roma tomatoes on there, half of a long English cucumber, and I cut up about maybe a quarter to half a cup of green onions that I sprinkled on top. The dressing I got from Lissa's Raw Food Romance. She posted it today on her Facebook page under the same name. You can go to her Facebook page, the Lissa's Raw Food Romance, to get the recipe for the dressing today. I'm not going to share the dressing here just because it's not mine, and I just want to respect the fact that it's her dressing. But anyhow, it's very, very delicious. So I would highly recommend that you guys try that dressing, because it's very creamy and savory, and just, for me personally, it's a flavor that I enjoy on my salads. I don't really like sweet dressings, and certainly that's been one of the hardest things for me, finding is a good salad dressing that I actually like. So this one will definitely be one that I go to again for my salads. So definitely go check out her Facebook page under Lissa's Raw Food Romance and get the dressing recipe if you want to try. Okay, so let's get to this the questions that I'm going to ask. So I came up with about 14 questions. So I'll go through the questions and I'll answer them. I thought I was gonna do it like as a tag video, but I decided not to. But if anybody else that's watching this wants to go ahead and do a video and ask the same questions, then go ahead. It's a good way for all of us to get to know each other a little bit better. Okay, so I will start. So question number 1, where were you born? Well, I was born in a small town called Chatham, New Brunswick. New Brunswick is one of the provinces on the eastern coast of Canada, so along the Atlantic Ocean. Chatham, New Brunswick is now, or has been for the last few years, they changed the name. It's now known as Miramichi City. And yeah, I was born there. I lived there until I was 8, and then we moved. Do I have any siblings? Yes. I am the youngest of 4 girls, so I have 3 older sisters. Where have you lived? That's question number 3. Well, I lived in Chatham, New Brunswick. Then I moved to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Then I moved to Trenton, Ontario. Then I moved back to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Then I moved to Paris, Ontario. Then I moved back to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And then I moved to Surrey in British Columbia, and that's where I currently live. Timeline. Well, I was born in 1973. I lived in Chatham until I was 8. So that was until 1982. Then we moved to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan in 1982. And I lived there until I started grade 9. So that was probably 1988, 87, 88. Then we moved to, no, sorry. I was in Moose Jaw for grade 9. We moved to Ontario, Trenton, Ontario when I was going into grade 10. So yeah, that would have been 1988 or 1989. Lived in Trenton, Ontario for 2 years. And then we moved back to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And then I finished high school there. I graduated from high school in 1992. Should have been 1991, but because of all the moving around, I had to go to school a bit longer. And then after I'd finished high school, I started dating this guy. And then we ended up moving to Paris, Ontario with his family. I lived there for about 6 months. That was probably in like 1994, 95, around that area. Lived in Paris, Ontario for about 6 months or so. And then he broke up with me. Broke my heart, and then I moved back to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, back to my family. And then a few years later, I moved out to Surrey, British Columbia, where I currently am living with my husband. Okay, so next question. Question number 4. Do you travel much? No. I have not been to too many places, actually. I've been, of course, all across Canada, except Newfoundland. I haven't been to Newfoundland. I've been to the U.S., mostly the northernmost states. Washington, of course. I've been to Bellingham. I've been to Seattle, that sort of thing. I haven't gone any further south than that. I've been to North Dakota, Michigan, Maine, all those states. I would really love to go somewhere tropical. That's kind of what I'm feeling this year. I don't know. I just feel like I want to get away. I'd love to go to Mexico or Hawaii. And my husband is from Sri Lanka, and I haven't been there yet. So I would like to go to Sri Lanka with, you know, my family. Bring my son and go there with my husband and meet the rest of his family that I haven't met yet. Number 5, what's your relationship status? Well, I'm married. I've been married for 4 years. We got married in July of 2011, although we've been together for, it'll be 16 years in May of this year. Number 6, how did you meet your significant other? Well, this is an interesting story. I'll try to keep it short. We met online. So back when, back before all of the, you know, big internet dating sites came about. It was a chat server called ICQ. I don't know if any of you remember ICQ, the little flower. They had like an application where you could post an ad to meet people, whatever. So at the time I was living with some friends, and one of my friends pretty much forced me to put an ad on the internet on this little dating ICQ site. So, yeah. So I didn't want to do it. And in fact, in those days, that was like in 1999.
So it was a dial-up, right?
Yeah, it was dial-up, dial-up internet. Old school. So yeah, I didn't want to do that. I thought it was crazy. I thought people were crazy to do online dating, and I was like, oh my god, like, but anyway, so he managed to get me to put an ad up, and I had a lot of weird responses and a lot of odd requests that I just kind of deleted and didn't respond to. I won't go into detail here because my son is within earshot, and you know, a lot of it's not really appropriate. But this one guy did respond, and I was just asking him, you know, what he looked like. And he said, oh, I look like George Costanza. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, only I'm balder. I'm more bald. I thought that was funny. But anyway, So yeah, so then I get this email from Steve, this very just a very simple email saying, hi, my name is Steve, blah, blah, blah. I live in Surrey, BC. This is what I do. I'm interested in meeting new people. I'm recently moved to Canada and blah, blah, blah kind of thing. So I thought, oh, it sounded kind of normal, whatever. So I responded. We started emailing back and forth. And then we exchanged phone numbers. And I remember one night he really wanted to phone me. He wanted to, you know, see what I sounded like or whatever. And I remember he phoned and I watched the phone ring and I couldn't answer it. I didn't answer the phone. And then he messaged me like, "What? Why aren't you answering?" I'm like, "Oh," and I made up some excuse like, "Oh, I'm too shy. I didn't want to answer the phone." So anyway, that was that, and we continued to talk, you know, chat online and through email. And then our computer needed to go in for some sort of repair. And it was only supposed to be in the shop for repair for a couple of days. And then it ended up, there was something else wrong with it and it needed to be in longer. So I was worried that, okay, you know, I was interested in this guy and we were getting along very well and everything seemed to be going fine. And I was really worried that he was going to think I was ignoring him. And so I bit the bullet and I phoned him. And then from that point on, we talked on the phone every day. Like, I worked during the day and he worked in the evenings. So by the time he got home from work, it was like midnight. No, it was like, yeah, it's like midnight my time. And I was living in Saskatchewan at that time. And he was living here in Surrey, BC. And we would get on the phone at like midnight. We would talk like all night for like hours about everything. Like, we never ran out of stuff to talk about. It was never anything dirty or anything like that. It was always very clean, just normal conversation. Like, he was sitting right beside me. It was like the strangest thing. And I just kind of knew, like, I kind of felt like, okay, I think this could go somewhere if we were to meet, you know. And then we started talking about meeting, and he asked how I would feel about coming out here to Surrey to meet him, and he said he would pay for my ticket and everything. And I thought about it, and I didn't think about it for very long. I said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to come out there and meet you." So we met in November of 1999. I flew out here to meet him in April of the year 2000. I stayed out here for 9 days. I came out here April 9th and I left on the 18th or the 19th, something like that. And then I remember we had the greatest time. And I remember when I saw him in the airport, I just knew in my heart that he was the one. And I don't know, it's weird, but you know when you know. And then I remember us in the elevator and after he picked me up, and we just kept looking at each other and smiling and giggling, and, you know, like, we can't believe we actually met in person now. And, you know, it went really well, and I just knew that he was going to be the one for me. And so yeah, I stayed out here for 9 days, and then I left. I went back home, and I was so sad. And I remember I was crying on the airplane and looking at all of our pictures that we took together and stuff. And I just couldn't handle being away from him. And we were planning on me moving out here that summer, so summer of 2000. But I couldn't wait that long, and he couldn't wait that long either. Although he'll, you know, act like he's the tough guy and say, "Yeah, you couldn't live without me," and, you know, but he couldn't live without me either. So I moved here 10 days later. So I went home April 18th or 19th. May 2nd, I moved here. And the rest is history. We've been together ever since. And yeah, so that's my love story. And we got married in July of 2011. And yeah, so that's it. Number 7. Do we have any kids? Well, as most of you know, I have a son. His name is Adrian, and he's 10 years old. Number 8. What's your favorite music? My taste in music is very diverse. I like a lot of different genres of music, ranging from, I do like some country, but not too much. I'm not a big country fan, but I love Neil Diamond. I love Neil Diamond. And I love Usher. So, I mean, from one spectrum to the other, like, and all points in between. I love Led Zeppelin, all the classic, like, 70s, 80s. I'm definitely an 80s girl. A lot of 90s music. I like more classic stuff. And I like a lot of the stuff that's out now. So I have a very, very wide variety of musical tastes that I enjoy. I love dancing, and I just love music. Love music. Number 9, what is your favorite color? Well, my favorite color used to be pink. But lately I seem to be liking purples a bit more. And I do like earth tones as well. So browns and beiges and those kind of colors. Now, number 10. What brought you to the vegan lifestyle? This is another kind of a long story that I'll try not to make it too long. So basically, my eldest sister has gone back and forth between being vegan, vegetarian, and following a standard American diet for as far back as I can remember. I remember, you know, oftentimes she would say, oh, you know, she'd be on the vegan bandwagon, and she wouldn't be cooking any meat at home, and only, you know, only fruits and veggies and that sort of thing. And we all thought she was kind of strange, and I never really understood the vegan lifestyle or what that meant, or, you know. And then I remember a few years ago, it was probably maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was visiting back home in Moose Jaw. And I was staying with her, and I remember she was vegan at that time. And I remember she was making a green smoothie. And she had like a very weak, like a very, not a very good blender, like just a cheapo kind of blender. And she had all this spinach in there and kale, and I don't know what else she put in there, but it was very green. And I remember when she finished making the smoothie, and it was very chunky, and it wasn't blended very well, but she was drinking it, and they could see all the pieces, and she was chewing, and I was just really grossed out by the smoothie. And I was like, ugh, what are you drinking? And she's like, oh, it's a green smoothie. So she's telling me about it, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look very appetizing. She's like, yeah, it's kind of hard to get down because it's so chunky, but, you know, whatever. And she touted the health benefits, and I was kind of like, ugh, it looks very gross. And I was not interested at all in the green smoothie at that time. And then she made some other dishes, some vegan dishes that I really enjoyed. And I thought, oh, this is really good. And so we started talking about, you know, vegan lifestyle and things like that. And, you know, it kind of resonated with me a little bit, but I wasn't, you know, wasn't making any changes to my own personal diet and kind of thing. So that was that. I kind of went back and forth, you know, watching her go from being vegan to not being vegan, and her struggling with cravings and weight fluctuating and all that kind of stuff. And then I remember it was before my wedding, so it was probably maybe a year later. I was preparing for, like, starting to make wedding plans, and she was talking to me again about this, or she was doing this raw food cleanse. And I was interested in what she was doing. So she was telling me about it, and basically what she did was, in the morning she'd have a green smoothie, and then for lunch she'd have a salad, and then she'd have another smoothie later on, and she did that for a week, and she said, you know, she was able to take off, like, you know, 10 pounds or something. I thought, oh, that's cool. So, of course, you know, you're always interested in taking off the weight when you have extra weight on. So, oh, I'll give it a try. Why not? So I did, and I couldn't believe how good I felt just from drinking the smoothies and eating salads and It was all raw food, nothing cooked. I didn't have a very good blender either at that time, but my blender was better than hers, and my smoothie was not as chunky as what hers was, so it was okay. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll give this a shot and see how this goes longer term. So I tried, and I wasn't able to sustain it. I think back, and I was not eating enough food, so that was why I kept falling off of the wagon, so to speak. And so from that point on, I kind of been back and forth between going fully raw, and then going back to like a standard American diet. I could never stick with the raw food lifestyle for longer than, you know, maybe a few days, maybe a week, not much longer than that. I kept going back and forth. So of course my weight would go up and down, but I would feel good, and then, you know, you'd feel crappy when you're eating the other stuff, and just kind of went back that way. And then around that same time, she had told me to go and check out the Raw family, the Butenkos. So I did. I checked them out online, and I got a couple of her books from the library, and I read her books, Green Smoothie Revolution or something like that. 12 Steps to Raw Food, something. I can't remember the exact titles. But that really, really piqued my interest. And then I started doing some research on YouTube. And I kind of was like, this sounds like this might be something that might help me, because as a lot of you may know, or some of you may not know, I was diagnosed with lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus, in 2002. It's mainly affected my joints. I have lupus arthritis. I've had lupus nephritis, so in my kidneys, and pain, fatigue, all the stuff that goes along with it. And then I came across, I think I came across Tanny Raw first. And I just learned that she healed herself from lupus by going on a raw food, by switching over to a raw food lifestyle. Then I was like, okay, there's got to be something to this. Did a bunch of research about the effect of cooked foods on our digestive system and our immune system. And I was completely sold at that point about going on a raw food lifestyle. I was convinced that I would cure my illness, my lupus. But I still couldn't stick to it. I could not stick to it. I wasn't eating enough food, and I couldn't figure out how to get in enough calories and stop my cravings. My cravings were horrible. I could not figure that out. So I would still go back and forth, back and forth. I would feel like so horrible when I would eat certain foods. And then I would feel so good when I would start eating more raw food. So I kept watching Tanny Raw and kept trying, never giving up. I also started watching Dan McDonald, Life Regenerator. I started watching Fully Raw Christina. And I started watching Reach for Raw Cookie Taylor. And of course, all of them had a lot of motivation and a lot of recipes and things to try. But I couldn't stick with it. Then last year in January, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. Forget it. I'm just going to do it. And then I decided in January of 2015, or was it 2014? I can't remember whether it was 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2014. I don't know. Anyway, I decided to go on a juice cleanse. My goal was 30 days. I was only able to go for 14 days. So I did the 14 days. I felt great. I was probably on a big sugar high. And made it to the 14 days, and then I felt like I needed to eat. So then I thought, okay, I'm just going to transition myself onto raw foods. And I did. I did that probably for the rest of the month of January. And then again, I couldn't keep my cravings away, and I ended up going back to, you know, standard American diet. I gained almost all of the weight back that I lost, and went back and forth again and really struggled with it. At that same time, I started my YouTube channel, and I've been making videos, you know, not always on a consistent basis, but fairly consistent since then, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what was going to work for me. And while I do eat a lot of raw food now, I still struggled with eating enough food in order to sustain a raw food lifestyle, getting in enough calories so that I'm not craving, making sure I'm getting in all the nutrients so that I'm not craving, but I haven't been able to figure that out yet. And I don't like the feeling that like I'm eating all the time. So that for me was a big thing. I work outside of the home. I work full time outside of the home. I don't have a lot of time during the day to be eating big, gigantic salads. And I enjoy certain foods. So for me, for right now, a fully raw lifestyle is not within my plan. Maybe one day, but for now it's not. And I'm quite happy with what I'm doing currently. So that brings me to question number 11. What is your current eating plan? Well, right now, I'm following a high-carb, low-fat, starch-based, cooked vegan diet. So, I'm currently, like, for example, today, for lunch, I had rice with some chickpea curry that I made and some raw, like, chopped up tomatoes. For the afternoon, I had banana and some grapes. And then for tonight for dinner, I had this, I'm eating this big humongous salad with this raw, well, not necessarily raw because the nuts I put in the dressing are not raw. So it's not really totally raw, but it's high raw for my dinner salad. And that'll probably be it that I eat today. And I feel great. So I'm still eating a high percentage of raw food in my day, but I'm still having cooked food. I enjoy potatoes. I enjoy rice. I don't eat a whole lot of pasta. It still kind of makes me feel bloated and a little icky at times, but I feel fine when I eat potatoes, and I feel fine when I eat rice. And steamed veggies and that sort of thing. And I still do have a little bit of the vegan processed foods on occasion. And I feel fine. Lately, I started really monitoring my weight back in July. I've taken off another like 17 pounds. But the last few weeks I've kind of plateaued and I've gained a little bit. I think because I was eating a lot of junk food lately and a lot of, you know, salty, high-fat foods. So I think a lot of my weight gain has been water retention. But I'm doing what I need to do in order to get myself back on track. But definitely for right now, I feel best with this high-carb, low-fat, starch-based, cooked vegan diet. So for now, that's what I'm going to do. Maybe it'll change later on as the year progresses. I don't know. Everything is kind of fluid. I'm just kind of taking it day by day and seeing what makes me feel the best. Number 12. What is on my reading list? Well, currently I'm reading The Starch Solution. And it's this book here. I'll show you. Currently reading this book, The Starch Solution by John McDougall. John McDougall. So I'm reading that right now. What's on my wish list? Well, once I finish reading The Starch Solution, I want to read Proteinaholic, and I also want to read How Not to Die. Those are two books that are on my wish list. Number 13, why vegan? Why did I choose to go vegan? Well, initially, primarily it was for my personal health reasons. I'm trying to improve my health, and I have greatly improved my symptoms with switching over to a plant-based diet. I was able to come off of blood pressure medication at one point, although currently I'm back on a blood pressure medication. And I've improved my symptoms greatly. I rarely have pain. My energy levels are up a lot more than what they have been. And I feel a lot better. Mentally, physically, all over, like all in all, I feel a lot better than what I did prior to switching over to a plant-based diet. So definitely health was my primary reason. As I kind of got into it and did my own research and education, I watched, you know, the usual documentaries, Earthlings, Forks Over Knives, Food Matters, Cowspiracy, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, Vegucated. I watched a whole bunch of documentaries. And of course, Earthlings really was a game changer for me. So definitely high up on my list, of course, is for the animals. It's so unnecessary what the animals have to go through in order for us to have meat that we don't really need to eat. I'm a firm believer that we do not need any animal protein nor any products from an animal in order to have ultimate health. And in fact, I think our health is much improved without having animal products in any way, shape, or form. And of course, after watching Cowspiracy, it definitely brings to light the environmental impacts of following a vegan lifestyle versus a standard American diet. Highly recommend definitely watching Earthlings, Cowspiracy, and Forks Over. I think those are the top 3 that most people recommend. That most people recommend you watch when you're considering going vegan. Those are usually the 3 because they really hit on all of the aspects of importance when considering a vegan lifestyle. And my last question, this video is getting very long. My last question, number 14, is what is my goal for 2016? I did not make a New Year's resolution, but I did vow to myself that I was going to be better to myself, put myself first, and I will be more consistent in my plan. So really, sorry guys, I got cut off there. Yeah, so my goal for 2016 is just to have more consistency with my lifestyle as far as eating a vegan diet. Definitely going to work on that. Cutting out more of the processed foods, focusing in on the whole plant-based foods with as little processing as possible, and, you know, getting out there, getting me more exercise, you know, just doing better for myself this year, and just really taking it a little bit more seriously. That, you know, if I want to have any sort of results as far as further improvements with my medical condition, then I really need to step it up a notch and kick it more into high gear and get that going. So definitely 2016 will be a year of serious transformation for me. I took a bunch of before pictures just a few days ago, and maybe in 6 months I'll do, or maybe, I don't know, maybe, yeah, in 6 months I'll do another set of pictures for comparison. Maybe at that time I will reveal, I'm not sure. I don't want to show the before pictures quite yet. I'm not quite there yet to show those publicly, but definitely they will be published at some point. Certainly when I reach my goal, they will be published. But for now, I just want to keep them to myself and just keep them private. So anyway, that's it. That's my video. Sorry it's so long. I hope that you watched it through to the end. If you like it, press like. If you're new to the channel and you want to follow my journey and support me on my way, please subscribe. I will support you as well. We're in this together. We can all do this together. It's very possible, and let's all have a great 2016. I wish all the best for all of you. And if you are on the same journey as me, if you have any other questions, just post them in the comment section below. If you want to do this video yourself and answer the same questions, by all means, do it. Let me know if you do, and then I'll go and check out your video. I'll post the questions in the comment section so that you have them written down. And yeah, so I hope everyone is doing great out there, having a great day. And thanks for subscribing to me. It means so, so much. I truly appreciate the support. It's because of you guys that seriously I've really been motivated that much more to keep going with this and to not give up. And one thing is for sure is I will never give up. So I may go up and down in my weight from time to time. I don't care. I will never give up, and I will reach my goal, and I will have some pretty awesome changes happening this year. I know that this is my year, and I'm gonna do it. So I'm well on my way. So anyway, that's it for now. Till the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.